What is up, everybody? Welcome back. We made it. Crunch time NBA edition, regular season. No more of that preseason nonsense. We got that out of the way. We're getting to the good stuff. We have two awesome games. Super excited about. Cannot wait to watch them. And I'm joined by two superstar NBA DFS minds. One of those being Mr. Andy Means, as per usual. What's up, Means?
Excited for the regular season, my friend. I just like relying on our RG alerts to tell me who's playing and who's not playing, and not digging into freaking coaches' quotes and practice squad players and all this stuff. I'm ready for the regular season, and I'm ready to do the show with you, gentlemen.
Yeah. And also we are joined by our tournament expert, who, by the way, just crushed some live finals last weekend for NFL. We got Squirrel. What's up, man?
Hey, yeah, not much. Ready for some basketball. Ready to turn my attention to NBA. It's been a good time with NFL, but there is no sport, no DFS sport like NBA. Like, you see those guys like constantly scoring. You see your lineups constantly moving. It's exciting. I'm ready.
Yeah, I absolutely love it. I play every single day. I watch the games every night. It's just, it's my favorite thing to do all year. But quick kudos to you. You came 11th or 12th in the 12th place in the live finals. Which what do you take home for 12th?
That was like 100,000. So, yeah. Yep.
That's pretty damn good, man. So congratulations to you on that.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, so now the goal is to get those quality lineups. Only we're going to do it with basketball. So Means we're going to start with you. We're going to start with FanDuel. We're going to run through your cash takes. Squirrel, will go to you for some tournament takes, and then we'll jump over to DK. And then after all that, we're going to open it up for questions. So anyone here, whether you are in the Discord or in the free YouTube chat, we're going to answer your questions here at the end of the show as well. Quick note, this is the final free show that we're going to have. This is it. From now on, we're behind the paywall for premium members only. You do get a discount if you want to sign up right now. It's $10 off the usual amount. And you can sign up for the combo package or for individual sports if you just want NBA. But it's $10 off your first month subscription. And this is it. It's your final time. So Means, why don't you give them all the good info that they're like, wow, I need to sign up because these guys make us money.
All right. So one very, very key piece of information, especially on FanDuel. So in the article that I write, the Core Plays article that you can get as a premium member over at RotoGrinders, I talked about how with Marcus Morris being ruled out last night, Nicholas Batum had started every single game for them in the preseason at the 4. So we were expecting that going into today. And now there's like a tweet out there, a picture out there of like an NBA TV screenshot showing who the starting lineups are. And they have Zubac in there at the 4, Zubac and Ibaka in there at the 4 and the 5. Mm-hmm. And that means no Batum. And that theoretically makes sense because they're going to start Marc Gasol and AD on the other side. So like who's Batum going to guard out of that group? So it does make sense. It is not anywhere near confirmed from like beat writers or anything. This could be a game notes type of thing. It's enough to give me pause, especially on DK because he is more expensive there. And FanDuel is the bare minimum. So we will touch on him when I go through FanDuel. So keep that in mind. It's the late game. We probably won't know. I'm thinking he will not start, but I'm also thinking he'll play a decent amount of minutes. They'll play him at the 4 when like Gasol goes out. They'll need him, to guard LeBron some too. So he's going to play. It's just not. He's a very low per minute guy. So the minutes matter. Basically, is what I'm saying. I think we brought him down to. Yeah, we brought him down to 3. I'm sorry, we brought him down to 24 minutes. I think we had him at 28 or so. So keep that in mind. We'll get there.
Okay.
Point guard is very easy for me. I'm doing this.
and to be clear, just to clear it up, you're on FanDuel right now.
I'm on FanDuel right now,
because there's a lot of new people. I know. Welcome back to all of our old people who are watching, but a lot of new people watching right now.
And Batum's 3.5 on FanDuel, and their salary cap is $60,000. He's 4.1 on DK, and their salary cap is $50,000. So the percentage, yada yada, everyone gets that part. So that's why we'll like him more on FanDuel. So on cash games on FanDuel at point guard, I think you do Steph and Kyrie and figure out the rest. Like I can make cases for these other guys. If I'm going to make a case for anyone, it's probably one of these two Clippers. But these are two of my favorite plays on the slate, so I want to play them. So point guard, easy for me, and that's my opinion. Like I wouldn't be surprised if like Lou Will's popping up in a bunch of our optimals. but I'm playing those two guys. Shooting guard. So I think you have to save here, especially if you're doing the build I want to do, because I'm going to pay up at the other power forward spot too. So we need to save here. Schroeder, one of my favorites. Dinwiddie, one of my favorites. If you need to go cheap, I would probably lean on KCP just because I feel better about his minutes. We have Kennard like right around here. Not certain that his minutes are as secure. So I'm looking at Dinwiddie and Schroeder as my main, and then PG. If you can get if you're not paying up at both point guard spots or both power forward spots, PG's probably your next guy in. We'll talk about the two studs at small forward who are going to factor in that equation too, but I just think that we can't quite get there. And then small forward. See, I still think you can play Batum because I still think even we have him at 24. I could easily see him get mid-20s. He could luck box his way there. It gets me other stuff. So I'm still fine playing him. I wouldn't blame you for not playing him, especially with the uncertainty. Joe Harris, my favorite cheap play. If you're paying up, I prefer Kawhi over LeBron for the $1,500 discount. And then Oubre is my favorite guy here in the mid tier, but most likely not going to be able to get him based on my build. Like I said earlier, AD and KD are my favorite power forward guys here. That's I just really want to start my builds with these four studs and figure it out, which is never fun, but it's a 2-game slate. The one guy I really like here is Ibaka. I'll talk about him more at DK. I really like minutes upside here, and I'll talk about it in a second. I would prefer him if you can get him over Pascal for $600 more. Kuzma's there too, but I think you got to pay up at both power forward spots. And then why I feel better about this is we only have the most expensive player on FanDuel at center is 5,100. Kind of landing where I land at this point. I don't have a preference of anyone here. You're almost certainly going to play one of DeAndre Jordan or Harrell. If you have the money, play Harrell. If you need the salad per dollar, go Jordan. And that's really kind of what I'm looking at here. I don't see a need to go to any of these other guys for cash games.
Okay. Fairly straightforward, it seems, which is fun in tournaments because that means there might be some good pivots here. So Squirrel, John, you got anything here that you feel strongly about?
So yeah, I'll just go quickly position, by position as well. Just
great.
Means he covered pretty well. Point guard, the obvious ones are Curry and Irving, and I think the tournament pivots are Lou Will and Patrick Beverly. And outside of those four, you're really stretching it. Shooting guard, I think I like Paul George maybe a little bit more than Andy. And then Wiggins, Schroeder, Kennard has got some uncertain minutes, but I think he's a good tournament play. The small forward, I really like Kawhi. I mean, obviously he's a cash game play as well as tournaments, but I like him for tournaments. I don't have a ton of LeBron, or probably less LeBron than you would think, because he's such a talented player. Just because I'm a little bit nervous about the rest. They just stopped playing 8 weeks ago or something. So it's possible. I think LeBron would be the most likely guy to see a little bit less minutes. Let's see. Then moving to power forward, I think Kevin Durant is a great play just because he is, he's in the highest scoring game of the night. He's with his new team. He's only 8,500 power forward spot. So I like him a little bit more than Anthony Davis, again, because of the rest situation. And then, Serge Ibaka, I think, is a great tournament play. And then center, it's pretty spread out between DeAndre Jordan, Harrell. I like Marc Gasol a little bit just because he's so cheap on FanDuel, and then he can really rack up some blocks and steals points quickly. So those are my tournament plays.
Excellent. Fair to say your favorite spend up over there for tournaments would be KD?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, Kevin Durant.
Yeah. Okay, excellent. Let's get to DK. Means we got some cash. By the way, real quick, it's so fun to pull up the Discord chat and see all these names that, I haven't seen in so long. Jumping in, Achilles and SFA Chiefs and Bearded Baldy and all these guys, they're back and they're so excited that it's back. Everyone's like, "We're back, baby!" And yes, I feel that as well.
Discord was humming today, Roth.
Say what?
Discord was humming today.
I believe it. Yeah, and wait till tomorrow when there's 29 games or it's an incredible amount of basketball. So I can't wait for that. Let's talk DK and let's go through the cash games.
Yeah. So DK is a really, really tough build, in my opinion, especially if you think Batum is not going to play as many minutes as we originally thought this morning. So I have Curry tagged at point guard. I have Pascal tagged at power forward. Pascal's only 3.8 on DK. That's why he's much more in play than he was on FanDuel. If I would put another guy here, it would be Kyrie would be in my guard spot. That's the next guy I'm looking to spend up on, but it's not a must play or anything because all these studs are just really, really good plays tonight. Except for, I mean, KD's 9, what is he? He's 9'8", second most expensive player on the slate. As I wrote my article, I think there's legitimate routes to him playing 35 minutes tonight based on the rotations they did in their dress rehearsal in the preseason. So keep that in mind if you're looking for some ceiling. But he is 9'8". That's a really, really tough ask when you have like AD at 10K and LeBron at 9'6". So anyways, so when I go through these DK plays, I'll probably be wishy-washy when we get to questions because I'm very wishy-washy on my own lineup. It's really difficult build. We're still trying to figure out rotations. If we talk about this, for like the Christmas Day slate, most of these teams are playing on Christmas. We'll know a little more because we'll have some concrete evidence of how these rotations are going. So yeah, point guard Curry, guard Kyrie. That's really what I'm looking at here for guys who are popping up. And maybe Beverly, maybe Dinwiddie as like last pieces in the util spot, but since Steph and Kyrie only have point guard eligibility, and I really want to use them in the point guard and the guard slot, we're really only talking about util, so that's a pretty easy skip over to shooting guard, where I'm going back and forth between like shooting guard and small forward is the toughest for me because especially if we don't have this Batum situation, if he's not starting, I do not want to play him, but I like my lineup with him just because I knew he's going to probably play like 30 minutes or so. Now I'm not so sure about that, so now I'm between like Joe Harris and Paul George, who I like Harris. And if I have my, the ideal situation, I would love to play Harris over Batum, even if Batum was playing all these minutes, even for the $700 more. I just think he's far more likely to well outscore him.
Yeah.
So now Harris is basically like my favorite cheap play if there's no Batum. So he's going to fit in one of those spots. Paul George is going to be a possible spend up here, depending on what you do at other spots, but he's very much in the discussion. Kennard, I've landed on him in a couple of my builds, and it's strictly because his salary is needed. His salary relief is needed. I'm worried about how many minutes he's going to play. I'm really curious to see how both teams do these rotations. I'm a little worried about him. Lou Will, kind of the same way. Those guys are actually a lot shorter than you'd think. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm looking at. I'm mostly Paul George and Joe Harris, maybe some Schroeder. Don't feel great about it. Oh yeah, Kawhi. Went over Kawhi. I have a build I actually like with him. His usage, I really don't want to look too much into the preseason. His usage was like 24%. They really were treating it as just like we don't care too much, but it's enough to at least worry me a little bit. But I have a build I like with him. Like I said, I'm very wishy-washy on this whole situation, which brings me to small forward, and there's not really anyone else to add here. Because I already talked about most of these guys. LeBron has small forward eligibility. You can obviously play him. You're not going to be able to play one of Kyrie or Paul George if you do that. Talked about the Batum situation. Talked about Oubre is really the only other one, and he's kind of just the last piece. If you land there, I'm fine with it. I would prefer not to spend that much on him. I feel like I skipped over. Did I skip over Andrew Wiggins?
You did not mention Wiggins. Yeah.
Why am I not seeing him? I don't see Wiggins unless I'm missing something. Yeah, he's not in there. So I'm guessing we have some RG peeps. Like Devin, if you could hit up someone in Slack, I don't see Wiggins in here. That seems like an issue unless I'm completely blind on something. All right. So yeah, Wiggins, I think he's shooting guard, small forward. I do like him as the last piece, just like Oubre. I would prefer Wiggins. Sorry, I know I got some, need to speed up a little bit here. Power forward is an easy Pascal. Other guys are going to be looking at here. Harrell having power forward eligibility actually really helps. We'll talk about. He's kind of in that range of DeAndre Jordan and Serge Ibaka, who are in this like low to mid 5K range, all fine cash game plays. The fact that he has power forward eligibility really comes in handy for this forward slot. You can use him there. That's really it. I'm not looking at KD in cash games because of that price tag. I think you play one of the other guys up in that range. Like AD, for instance, you can definitely play him in cash games. Then center. How do I have 34 players excluded? I have no idea how that's possible. Why would I have people excluded? All right. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Sorry about that. I'll fix that when the squirrel's going. Yeah, that would make sense. Center. So Ibaka, we have him at 27. He in the last game he played, I think he sat their third game, and his second game, which was his last game, he played 16 first half minutes. His rotations were like basically 8 minutes per quarter. If he does that in the second half, like that, if those are his rotations, he's going to play 32 minutes. And who do they have on this team who can guard AD? I know no one can guard AD. Who on this do they have on this team who can make it difficult on AD? Yeah. The whole idea is to like make it as difficult as possible so you don't bring doubles every single time. And I think that's Ibaka is like literally the only guy on this roster. So I think he's going to play above 30 minutes tonight. So I bumped him to 30. I really like him at the center spot. I like DeAndre Jordan at the center spot. We'll probably get plenty of James Wiseman questions.
He's already are getting a lot of Wiseman questions. Yeah.
So he's starting. They said they're playing him in short bursts. I'm sure everyone's heard that already. I've seen 4 to 5 minutes. I've seen 6 to 7 minutes. If it's the latter, he's gonna play a lot of minutes. Yeah. If it's the former, he's gonna play. He could play 16 minutes. So I feel comfortable about our projection here. We have no idea how he's gonna play, like from a per minute perspective, because he played 3 games in college. He hasn't played since like November of last year. So we'll see. And he did play in the preseason. Obviously, I would not play him in cash games. You have other guys, just a few $100s more you can get. So that's really it. I will let John talk, and I will fix whatever the hell I did to my lineup HQ.
Yeah, sure. A few people in chat saying you just have to refresh it, and that might help you out. Means, John, what do you got?
So I said when I was talking about FanDuel, I was concerned about LeBron maybe being the first guy to have limited minutes. It's not as much of a concern on DraftKings because he's only 9,600 on DraftKings, whereas 11,000 on FanDuel. So just for comparison, I think like Kevin Durant is 2,500 cheaper than LeBron on FanDuel. He's like 200 more expensive than LeBron on DraftKings. So, much bigger fan of LeBron on DraftKings. And he's also, got the point guard eligibility. So basically I just add LeBron to that group of 4 guys that we're talking about: Kyrie, Steph Curry, Lou Williams, and Patrick Beverley. LeBron's very much in play as the point guard there. Shooting guard, Luke Kennard, is a little bit cheaper on DraftKings. So a little bit more of him. See, small forward. Yeah, I mean, it's just, LeBron and Kennard both small forward eligible as well. I guess one guy, real long shot, Taylor Horton-Tucker, like he may not get in the game. He may not be in the rotation. He just had a stellar preseason. So he's a guy, if you're doing like max entering or something, I'd throw a few Taylor Horton-Tucker lineups in there just because you don't know. Maybe he did earn a good chunk of minutes in the rotation with his preseason performance. Power forward, Pascal is really appealing on DraftKings, just because 3,800, we know he's starting. And then center position, I'm being a big fan of Ibaka, just like Meansy is. And then just the Wiseman situation, I'm probably going to aim to be under the field on him. Just there's so much that can go wrong, like because he's a young big man playing his first NBA action at all. He didn't play in the preseason. So like foul trouble is a possibility, short minutes is a possibility. So I think being like the number 2 pick in the draft or whatever, I think he's going to probably get outsized ownership to his performance. I'd look at someone like Marquise Chris or Kevon Looney in tournaments, maybe trying to get some leverage off of what I think might be outsized Wiseman ownership.
Wow. Okay. Excellent stuff, guys. Anything else we want to talk about kind of game theory wise or overall, or we still have 10 whole minutes. We can dive into questions for the remainder of the show. Means
I got nothing. I'm fine with doing a little QQ. I know the people like that, especially on the first night.
Yeah. John, you want anything like kind of overall to add in here, or do we just dive into these individual questions, help the people out?
I'll just throw in a quick thing for we have a Slate IQ tool, and that seemed to indicate that you get some leverage on the field playing game stacks when there's only 2 games. So like playing 4 or 5 guys, or actually like 5 or 6 guys with a maximum of 4 per team on DraftKings when you only have a 2-game slate. And in this slate in particular, like the Golden State Brooklyn line, the over under is much higher than the Clippers Lakers. So that would be the game that I would target if you're going to do that.
Okay, that's a great addition. I should have thought to ask, like, what is the overall theory here? So are you kind of trying to fully stack one game, or do you have lineups where you're stacking the other one too?
Oh, like I'll always like if I'm gonna do like 150 lineups, like I'll always throw in some game stacks, and I think that's true if you're doing like 10 or 20. If you're doing like the 20 max, like yeah, like take some amount of your lineups and and play for either a game shooting way over its total or overtime, double
Overtime.
overtime. And when games are close, starters are gonna stay in longer. So I think it's always like a valid thing you can do.
Right. Okay. Excellent stuff. We now have 8 or 9 minutes. Let's get into the questions. By the way, we do this every single day. Generally, it's not free, but for those of you who are new here in the YouTube chat, go ahead, fire in your questions. I'm going to take them from both our Discord, where our premium members are, and some YouTube. And then tomorrow, it's premium only. So let's get to it. We'll start with It's JC. He says, by the way, if it's a GPP question, John, I'll let you take that. If it's a cash one, Meansy, that's for you. Okay. Excellent. All right. It's JC says, in a single entry GPP, you want Montrezl or Ibaka?
Which site?
Doesn't say.
So it's tough because they're different positions. Like DraftKings, I'd go with Ibaka.
Yeah, do a DK. That's probably DK.
Yeah, I would do Ibaka on DK in particular.
Okay. All right. Bregonia says, DK GPP, util, your very best play, 5,700 or under. I'm leading Jordan or Kuz because of ownership.
Jordan, best play 57 or under. Maybe Lou Williams.
Okay, I like it. Great. EJ says, what up, Roth? Good to see all of you again. Good to see all of you again in chat. Like, it really, I say it every year, but like, we like doing this. Is fun. We enjoy this. We're happy that it's back. So it's good to see all of you guys as well. D Gold says, Ibaka or Pascal? FanDuel cash means Pascal's. That's a DK lock, maybe.
I would do Ibaka, but again, like I said when I went through FanDuel, I would prefer AD and Durant and figure out the other positions.
Okay. T Jackson says 2v2 DK cash, PG and Joe Harris or Kyrie and Batum.
Whew. If Batum ends up starting, I would say for sure the second one. I have the first one in my lineup, but I also have Kyrie. So between that, I would say do PG and Joe Harris.
All right, we'll go to JG. He says, is 4 Warriors in a DK GPP okay? No Draymond opens up a lot. I would imagine that's okay. Squirrel?
Yeah, I would say that's okay. I would just maybe try to run it back with at least one Brooklyn guy. Like if you're doing 4 Warriors, then run it back with at least one Brooklyn guy.
Excellent. All right. Frederick says, DK Cash, Irving and Kawhi or Paul George and Durant?
I would do the first one.
Charles Bell says, Leonard and Batum or Paul George and Harrell on DK? We'll call it cash.
You can read it again then?
Yep. Sorry. Leonard and Batum or Paul George and Montrezl?
I would do the second one.
Jordan says DK. Oh, okay. He doesn't say if it's, we'll call it a GPP. PG and Kennard or Wiggy and Joe Harris?
Go with the first one.
Okay, here are a couple names that we have not discussed, or at least I haven't heard much of. Tony says, in a GPP, any interest in Baze or LeVert, or which one out of the two?
They're not. I'll be honest, they're not really on my radar. I'd maybe go with like Baze more than LeVert.
Okay, great. Marcus says, on FanDuel, can I fade LeBron and AD and still be optimal?
I don't know if it's I don't know if it's cash or GPP. I think I mean certainly in tournaments you can, because like there's the thought like what if the game gets out of hand? Like these guys just finished the season 8 weeks ago or whatever, 2 months ago. So yeah, they could see the bench early if the game's out of hand in either direction.
Okay, great. We'll go to Straw. DK Cash question means Irving and Kawhi or AD and Paul George?
That is a difficult question. I'm fine with either. I would lean the Kyrie one.
All right. We got 5 minutes left. Just to illustrate, another one of the many names that I recognize here in chat says, are you above the field on LeVert in a DK GPP? No, I imagine you were under, right? You said you're not on them?
Yeah, like I'll have a handful of lineups, but not single digit ownership.
Okay, actually a lot of LeVert questions, so I'm glad we kind of got to that. And Bazemore, I'm also seeing his name still a lot in various questions. You were under the field on him as well.
I think so. I mean, there's a lot of guys like coming off that bench, like so. Like, I just don't know what Bazemore's role is going to be.
Okay, great. D-Dot says FanDuel GPP. Here we go again. Oubre or Levert?
Uber.
All right. Rossi says DK GPP P-Bev last piece. Is 3 point guards too much?
Sorry, was that for me?
Yep. DK GPP, any interest in P-Bev?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, like he's right in there with the other point guards.
Superman in the chat says, hello. Hey there. On Yahoo for GPPs at the small forward spot, would you play Kuz or Caldwell Pope?
Probably go Caldwell Pope.
All right. K-Mac LA says, are you higher on LeBron or AD tonight? I'll let you both answer it, and we'll call it for DraftKings, although I know there's pricing differences that matter here.
For cash, I would say I'm higher on AD.
John?
I'd go the opposite. I'd go LeBron.
Okay, excellent. Well, I mean,
Perfect.
One of you is cash and one is tournament, so that's how it should be, really. M. Viola says, DK Cash, hey, Means, are you playing AD? Straight up, are you playing him?
He is not currently in my build, no.
Okay. Achilles, DK Cash, Batum and AD or Irving and Jordan?
I would do Irving and Jordan between the two, especially with no Batum news.
Okay, I love this question. GWB in chat says, is there any way off the board, low-owned one-offs in a DK GPP? Squirrel, do you have a guy that's like, this dude's coming in at 3% owned and he could get it done?
Marquise Chris, maybe, just because, like, what if Wiseman's playing way less minutes than we thought, or Kevon Looney, and then Taylor Horton Tucker, like he did so well in the preseason, but like he could not see the game at all. So
yeah, that's wild. All right,
hey,
we got
Ralph,
about two. Yo,
yeah, I know we got a few minutes. Remind me to say something right after lock. It's not like play related, but I just want to say something. Just remind me, please.
Okay, we'll do. I'm gonna tell Devin. Hey, Devin, remind me to remind me and Z. Thanks. All right, let's go to Padres Blunts. Good name. He says, "Hey Roth, help me out. DK single entry: Paul George and Montrezl or Irving and Gasol."
I do like Irving and Gasol.
Wavy says, "FanDuel GPP: Schroeder or Dinwiddie."
I've got more Schroeder.
All right, it's
Shooter.
We'll work on it. DK GPP: LeBron versus Curry from Tim.
I probably LeBron. Because he's so much cheaper on DraftKings than FanDuel.
Okay. Man says DK single entry GPP: is Caldwell Pope viable?
Yeah, absolutely.
Achilles, DK Cash, Batum AD or Irving and Jordan?
Irving and Jordan.
A Jammy says DK Cash, Kawhi and Montrezl or Paul George and Wiggy?
I think pretty sure I have the second one in there. Yeah, I like Paul George and Wiggy slightly better.
Saint Shady says, is Zubac okay as a last piece in DK Cash? I'm so high on Zubac. I weirdly love that dude's game. Means is he okay in cash?
It's actually Zubac. Rough.
Zubac.
We'll work on it. Don't worry.
You son of a bitch. Is he okay in DK Cash?
I know the lineup you're landing on. I don't feel great about that. We don't even know if he's starting to. We already talked about the Surge reason I like Surge and his minutes so much. I would try not to, but I get where you're landing. I'm not opposed to it. Hello, Boogie.
All right. Oh, shout out to Boogie. Less than a minute left. DK GPP from Trisket, Levert and Trez or Wiggy Joe Harris?
Wiggy and Joe Harris.
That is probably our last question. Means before you say what you have to say, I will add in a couple things. This is it. For all of you freeloaders hanging out in the YouTube chat, that's the last one that we do. I'll just tell you the content here at RotoGrinders is it's the best. We have the best projections team, and I think you will certainly enjoy it if you sign up and you hang out with us for these crunch time shows. So I would recommend you do that. Not quite implore you. Like I'm not gonna beg you to do it or anything, but it's always a good time. So go ahead, jump in, try it out for a month. Your first month is $10 off. We got a promo code that Devin's going to pop in right now. Also, don't go anywhere because right after this show, we have this has been a hot thing, is like a sports cards are becoming an investment. And so we're actually doing shows about it. I am not any part of it. I have no idea. I think it's crazy.
I have a question. Why do you want to be the last person holding the sports card? I understand like the market of it, but why do I want to be the person who's the last one holding a piece of cardboard?
Well, here's my thoughts on it. And I'm sorry, we're going to take more questions, by the way. Don't go anywhere. Like if the card is like a LeBron James, then when I have my buddy Meansy over, I want to be like, check out this card I have. But if a card is like
okay,
a Marquise Chris, like I don't understand the value in like a mid-level player.
I don't understand the point of you having the LeBron James card and thinking that's cool. Like that's what even the LeBron one. Why? It's a piece. It's a picture.
Squirrel, where are you at on this? It's a
so actually, like for the Fanduel Live Final, they actually did a card break for us, and it was the most absurd thing I've ever seen, but it was actually kind of cool. The guy was so enthusiastic. Like they break open the box of cards, and like there's some kind of random cards in there, and then there's like these special cards that have like a piece of the jersey or
the jersey ones are sweet,
or it's like a piece of the helmet or something. Yeah. It was pretty cool. I can see it. Like some of them are like pieces of artwork, right? Like some of them have like a piece of jersey that has like dirt, like it's like a game used jersey. It still has dirt on it. And like, that's pretty cool. It's like you're taking it as like, a small little piece of artwork. Like, hey, here's my like LeBron James, like rookie card from it, like with a piece of his jersey, from that season or something. That's pretty cool. But I can kind of also see like these mid-level cards or something. Like I won like a Tyler Johnson card, like from the Tampa Bay Bucks. And it was like, oh, it's like he's got his jersey or something, but like, I don't like.
Check out my Tyler Johnson card.
Right, yeah. Like Mrs. Johnson, I got your son's card. Like, like who else?
Like, if you can make money on it, then I'm all for that. If you can make money on it, which apparently you can, but that's I'm just saying I don't understand why I want to be the last one holding it.
Right. So that's what I was going to say. Is that the market is red hot for it. Literally, people are buying them, flipping them, and making a lot of money. Like I know a lot of people doing this right now. And it's obviously very big in the DFS communities because we're all sports nerds. So we've got a show about all of that coming up after this one. With those things out of the way,
thank you, Devin. Let's
go to what Meansy had to say. Meansy, what did you have to tell
How
us?
In the hell, if you had asked me a month ago or whenever, like right before the Hornets signed Gordon Hayward, how the hell do we talk so much about Nicholas Batum on the freaking opening night of the NBA regular season? We are sitting here talking about Nicholas Batum. What in the world happened?
I don't know.
Unbelievable. I mean, he basically gets assigned to the end of the bench in Charlotte. They sign Gordon Hayward, so they waive and stretch Batum. Then the Clippers sign him and start playing him like all these minutes in the preseason. Now Morris is out. Now we're talking about him on a freaking game between the Warriors and the Nets and the Clippers and the Lakers. Like we're talking about freaking Nicholas Batum.
It is bizarre, but that's what's fun about DFS is that you dig into the garbage a little bit. No offense to Nicholas Batum's mom, but you gotta kind of dig a little. All right, let's see. All right, we're gonna take questions. I say we hang out for another 5 minutes. If you have late swap questions, if you have general strategy questions, this is a good time to do it. Cash strategy questions means he's pretty good at that. Tournament strategy questions, Squirrel is literally at every live final, so I'd say he's pretty good at that as well. So let me pull these up, and we'll get to some of these questions. Hang on, let me pull up the YouTube chat here, and we'll see what's going on. Okay.
Did I just make a bunch of enemies with my sports card rant?
Not a bunch of enemies, but our bosses are like heavily invested. So you made the wrong enemies.
Like I said, I might even do it strictly because you can make money off of it. Yeah. I'm just saying the actual enjoyment of the card is what I don't get. I would love trading. Like I like the idea of it being like a market that you think it's lower and they think it's higher, blah, blah, blah. That makes sense to me. Right. I just don't understand the actual, like I can go onto Google right now and look up a picture of LeBron's rookie year too. And I can see a picture right there. How's that any different?
It's displayed. You get to show it. I get to point it to you. Say, look, you can feel this jersey.
Okay.
By the way, if you're into sports cards investing, I'll just jump ahead to the next show. Seth Curry. Buy all the Seth Curry. That's the next guy. That guy's going to be
Roth is the Mavs homer.
He's not a Mav anymore.
I know, but that's why you started liking him because he balled out last year. So now you're a Josh Richardson homer.
I don't know about that guy. I don't know. I've never seen him play. He better impress. Seth Curry is legitimately like all-star quality offensive basketball player. So we'll see. I hope he gets the minutes and I hope he balls out. All right, let's get to some of these questions here. Late swap. SF Bay Chief says, who would be the late swap off of Batum on DK, assuming you already have Kennard?
All right, Roth. If that's a me question, you know what I'm going to say. Usually, I don't always look at these as just a 1v1 situation.
Yeah.
So, like, you have to always be thinking of it in terms of your whole roster. If it makes sense to swap out 3 players to bring in 3 new players, do that. So, with that being said, I would have to see someone's whole lineup to know exactly who that would be. But if you're looking, so you're looking for, I'll look at utility just in case. So let's look down here. He's 4-1. You said you already have Kennard. And that's where it gets tricky too, because we only have 1 game left. So I would say if you can get Beverly, get Beverly. You already had Kennard. Chris will be in the other one. There isn't really. So that's why you may have to work things around a little bit.
Okay. All right. There is none. That's your answer. DK Cash question from Diet Pepsi. Kawhi Kennard or PG Gasol?
I would do probably the first one.
Mm-hmm. Jansen White says DK GPP Schroeder or Lou?
Lou Williams.
Tylon says, what is the advantage with hand building lineups? I mean, with our lineup HQ, it's like hand build. It's like optimizing and hand building combined, right? I don't know. Just use that. What is the advantage to hand building?
Well, I think the advantage of the hand building lineups is you're putting as much like individual attention to each lineup, right? Mm-hmm. Whereas like if you're doing like a million, like optimizer lineups, and you're potentially not even seeing each lineup. You could have something that doesn't make sense.
You just kind of blew my mind. Do you have lineups? Because you enter like a crap load of lineups every day, right? Because you're in these tournaments. Is there entire lineups that you have not even looked at, and then in hindsight you go back and you're like, damn, that doesn't even make sense. I wish I would have looked at that.
Yeah, I try to avoid that, but yeah.
Yeah.
He's looking at exposures. He's looking at his exposure number and not his lineups, most likely if you got that many.
Yeah. Right. And you can create these like groups in lineup HQ to prevent, having players that are potentially going to be competing against each other.
It's just a whole different ball game. Like what you do and what I do, it's like we're playing two different worlds. It's crazy. I just enter, hand build 2 lineups and that's it. I don't ever think about the percentages and all these things.
And usually the question is, what's the advantage to like using lineup HQ versus just hand build? So it's interesting that the question was like, why would you?
It was backwards.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Agreed. Let's see. JCU says, "Oh man, I missed this." JCU says, "Did anyone else notice the DK overlay and the $2.5 million contest? It is nice. They're paying over top 28% of lineups tonight."
I saw it was like 90,000 entrants they still need to get like an hour ago or more. It was, I don't know what it ended at, but that's a lot.
I was strongly considering entering, and had I known there was overlay, I would have done it, and then I would have come to the bottom. But it was a it was $2.5 million prize pool, and first place was 1 million of that. So it was what you call top heavy. Yeah. How about Results DB? Good call there, Devin. One other cool tool that we have here at RotoGrinders is Results DB, where we can look at ownership after the slate starts. You can look at ownership. You can compare what you have to other people. And I think once it gets like tight, like down the wire, if you're in a tournament, Squirrel, do you like go to you can go to Results DB and try and figure out like, all right, what does this guy have? What do I need? What does the field have?
Well, yeah, I usually use Results DB as like a hindsight tool.
Right.
Yeah, and I see like, just what you can see different exposures that people had.
What you're talking about, Roth, I think is like looking like more for head-to-heads. We have a RotoGrinders extension on Chrome that you can see like guess who has, or it shows. Obviously, it has empty slots left. You don't know until the game's revealed, but the RotoGrinders extension will show how much salary is left, so you can make educated guesses as to who the other player is playing.
That sounds like Nicole Valencia tool. No.
Yep, it sure is.
Yeah, she's good, man. She does cool stuff.
Let me see.
Yeah, they ended up with 141 out of 141,000 out of 196,000 full. So that's a lot of overlay.
Let's see what we got some ownership in that thing.
Yep.
So yeah, this is Results TV for anyone who is watching my share screen here.
All right, what stands out?
Pascal 59%.
Look at Joe Harris.
Yeah, JoJo.
Joe Harris higher than
AD 30%. What do you think about that, Squirrel?
Yeah, it's higher than I just saw that on my on my DK.
But I mean, there's only 2 games, so
I guess he was 9,800, and again, I think he might play more minutes than people think tonight, but he's 9,800 and AD's 10,000 and LeBron's 9,600. I mean, you can call it kind of maybe nitpicking, I guess, from like a mathematical standpoint. If I pulled back up, I'm going to pull back up our projections just to show why. I hope our projections agree with what I'm about to say, but we're going to find out. So like if I move him to KD to 34 minutes, he's still behind AD and LeBron from a raw projection standpoint by 2 to I don't know, 1.5 to 3.5 points, we'll call it. So that's why, just from a math perspective, I think those guys are the better plays, but everyone's wanted to roster KD, and they have the highest team total by a long shot. So yeah, I don't know. And I guess you're right. It's a 2-game slate. Maybe I overreacted to 30%, but I guess I'll be sure. I want to see what it is compared to LeBron AD. That probably makes the most.
Well,
best way to
KD has 8 points in the first 3 minutes for what it's worth.
Oh, okay.
So yeah,
he should have been higher. He should have been like 50%.
One thing that is just kind of standing out to me, just in hindsight, all of these teams, except for Golden State, is a 2-star team, right? So Steph Curry is the only solo star. Like if you play, KD is competing with Kyrie and LeBron and AD and Kawhi and Paul George. But in Golden State, it's just Steph, right? He has to do it all. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So
that's why we haven't projected so high yet.
Yeah, it just seems like I don't know. It seems like he's
sometimes it's that easy, bro.
Pretty real. Yeah, sometimes it's just like, wait a second, he's the only guy that can get it done. He's the only good person on that team. All right. Well, I'll tell you what, gentlemen, we have to get out of here to let Devin get ready for his our sports card show that is coming up. But I think that was fantastic. I had a good time, and I hope that everyone there in chat did. Everybody in the Discord chat, it's just fantastic to see you. Everyone in the YouTube chat, join the Discord chat, join RotoGrinders Premium. You get $10 off your first month, and then we get to hang out all year, and it's a good time. We just talk sports. Sometimes we drink beers. Anything you guys want to add, or should we get on out of here?
I'm going to go watch some games.
Yeah.
Do you want to do a crunch time tournament tomorrow, Roth?
Yes, I do. Yeah. We got 13 games, right? Tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's an absurd slate. So we're going to do a crunch time tournament tomorrow. We'll do like $5 entry, but just if you win, you get some RotoGrinders swag and you get the money, obviously. And you get shit talking rights, which is the most important thing. So we'll do a crunch time tournament tomorrow for sure. I'm looking forward to that. So for Means, for Squirrel, for Devin, always working hard behind the scenes. Guys, we appreciate you. We love you. And we will catch you tomorrow. You have been crunched.